Hey everyone, welcome to the newest episode of Games I Speak. I'm Gio,
And I'm
And I'm
Josie.
Josie.
and today we're doing something a little different. We are self-isolated like everyone else, so we're going to be doing this remotely until things kind of die down and get back to normal. So the audio quality and video quality is not going to be quite where you're used to, but we're going to make do with what we have. So. Um, Yeah, it's good to see you, Josie. I mean, we didn't do an episode last week, so I'm glad we can finally get back to this.
No, of
No, of
course.
course.
Um, so the first up, I wanted to go over some like good news, uh, because we've been all been getting bad news all week. So let's uh, let's cover the Nintendo Direct um, that we had talked about. Um, Now, there was something in here that I know you're probably like super excited for. And
No.
and I was wondering if you could explain to people about the where it's the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and you had talked about this before.
Yes, I've talked about it multiple times,
Yeah.
and
So
to
what do
be
you think
honest,
about it?
it's. I started
I
crying
started crying
when
when
they
they
unveiled
unveiled
it.
it.
Oh
when I
wow.
saw the trailer.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I got emotional. This new Nintendo Direct Mini dropped on March 26th. Just randomly, the Nintendo was like, here you go. And they started off with Xenoblade Chronicles, and I felt like they were speaking directly to me.
Yeah.
This is the definitive edition of the Wii game that released back in the day. And they've upscaled all the graphics to current generation, like the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 graphics. And it's being released, has a release date now, like a solid release date, which is May 29th.
Okay.
So I'm super excited for that. They have actually two different versions, the standard version and the collector's edition version. I only saw the collector's edition at Best Buy. I had to pre-order that pretty quickly. But aside from that, the standard edition is just the game and the cover, obviously, and the collector's edition comes with a slip cover, and the 200-page art book.
Okay.
So it's quite hefty. But that's the U.S. version. The U.K. version actually gets a vinyl edition of the soundtrack, which I'm like totally jealous
Oh
of.
wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was looking at
So
it and it looked sick. I mean, it looked really nice. Um, there was a couple other things that I saw that were interesting.
Mm.
For one, they did do a free update to the Ring Fit adventure game, and
Yes.
thank you for letting me borrow that. That is an awesome game.
Yeah.
Uh,
With everything going on, you're gonna have to buy me a new one.
I'm getting you a new one. Don't worry. I'm getting you a new one. I'm getting you a new one. But yeah, and then there was like some other stuff there too. Let me see.
Yeah, so a couple of other things. We've got Trials of Mana, which is coming out April 24th,
Yes.
and that's the remake
Yeah.
of the Seiken Densetsu 3, which we never got in the States
Yeah.
until the Collection of Mana came out on the Switch earlier this year. And then, I believe that was earlier this year, I forget. Anyways,
Yeah, it was.
Pokemon Sword and Shield are getting an expansion pass coming out in the end of June.
Two worlds. They
And-
each get a world or something like that.
Yeah, which is really
Yeah.
cool. And then Bravely Default 2, they actually had an entire showcase on Bravely Default 2, which
Yeah.
I'm super excited for because I love the Bravely Default on the 3DS.
Yes.
And that's just like an old school Japanese RPG with a beautiful style of paint on top of it. I mean, it looks like a storybook. It's the same team that did Octopath Traveler, but it's a different type of game. Similar, still an old school RPG.
Yeah, it is definitely
But
an old school
highly
RPG.
suggested. And there's a thing. There's a demo out right now on the Nintendo Switch. So if you want to try it out and see what it's all about, it's available right now to download.
Yes.
And then, of course, a big one for me, which is Panzer Dragoon Remake
Yeah.
or Panzer Dragoon Remastered. And it's pretty much Panzer Dragoon with a new coat of paint. It just dropped right there on March 26th, instantly, and it was available for everyone. But Gio, thank you for alerting me. There's actually a physical edition on limited run games available for pre-order right now.
Yeah, and you and me both
So-
ordered that. So
Correct.
yeah, so I would say if you're a Sega kid and a fan of the Panzer Dragoon series, hit up limited runs. Now, I do want to say they put out a message recently, and they're all working from home now. So they have to stop all
They're all shipping from home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's important. That's
yeah,
unfortunate.
they have to. So obviously they ship from where they probably have like a warehouse or something, but they
Mm.
stopped all shipping, which is fine. I mean, anything for safety measures, I'm 100% for. You can still download the game on Switch and play it that way. But for collectors like you and me, I mean, it's awesome to have an actual physical version of the Panzer Dragoon remake because getting those originals is just so difficult. And you covered that in the last episode we
Yes.
had. Yeah.
And I mean, to be honest, that was the first question I had when I was looking at the Nintendo Direct Mini. I was like, wait a second, it just dropped. But what about a physical copy? Is there going to be a physical
Yeah.
copy? And I was like looking online for a second, but didn't really give it too much thought. And you sent me that link for limited run. And I was like,
Yeah.
sweet. Answer because I was literally about to buy the digital version just to support
Yeah.
them essentially.
Yeah.
But if I could get it physically, I'd rather get it physically.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah,
And then
Smash.
oh
Smash Brothers.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Smash. So everyone was excited for this. Smash is getting a new download character, and we don't know which character it is, but it's coming from the ARMS universe,
Yes.
which is one of the first games that the Nintendo Switch, one of the launch games for the Nintendo
Yeah.
Switch, and it was a unique fighter that used motion controls and characters with extendable arms,
Yes. Yeah.
hence the name.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. There hasn't been too much excitement about it, but I think that it is interesting. And I mean, it's a Nintendo title, so it needs to. They're promoting their own thing.
Yeah.
But I was talking to another mutual friend of ours, John, and he was like, maybe they should have released this character a year ago when Arms was slightly more relevant.
Yeah. That's a good
But
point.
either
That's a good point.
either way, Arms in general, to include this type of character, it is a unique character versus another sword wielding character.
Yeah.
Example like Fire
Yeah.
Emblem. No offense, obviously, I love Fire Emblem,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying that the unique style of this character, just from the game that they're coming from, could lead to something new and original rather than kind of like the more run-of-the-mill characters that we've been getting,
Yeah.
which have had like similar styles from previous characters that we've already had.
Yeah. And
There's only so many Echo Fighters.
yeah, and they even said in the direct that like because of the way that the character plays, they need extra development time. And it makes sense
Hmm.
because it's going to play so differently, like you said, from every other character.
Yes.
So, yeah, moving on. So I wanted to bring this up because this is something that we talked about in the last episode as well. Um, there was actually some scoop revealed why Final Fantasy broke the game up. The exact reason why Final Fantasy.
You mean White Square Enix?
Yes, yeah. So can you see this right now? Um, okay. Okay, so this I wanna point this out because they answer exactly why they broke it up. So here we go. Um, at the beginning of the project, we had two directions we could go, and this is Kitase. The first what? Yeah, the first was to make the project with the highest possible level of graphics, visual quality, and detail, and not remove anything that fans wanted to see. Instead, it would expand upon the original game to make it something even more immersive. The other option was to include the entire scope of the original game in a single release. But in order to make that work as a modern game, we wouldn't be able to go for the highest visual quality, as we'd also have to cut back on areas and scenes from the original. Essentially, to make a single release viable, the resulting game would have ended up being a digest of the original story, and we didn't think fans would be pleased with that. So that is their reasoning for why they split the game up. So, I mean, what do you think? Do you think that is a valid reason for splitting the game up?
I mean, for the reasons that they've limited themselves to, yes.
Yeah.
But they're limiting themselves to specific reasons. Like they've got like a narrow point of view. It's like it needs to be this way, and if we did it this way, then we couldn't do it in so and so fashion.
Yeah. So
So
their reasoning was
like
mainly graphics.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is not the best reasoning.
Yeah.
I mean, who's to say they couldn't use in-game assets to do cutscenes, which they've done before?
Yeah,
And
that's
I can
true.
only I can only assume that they're talking about having CG cutscenes,
Yes.
and by CG cutscenes I mean like incredibly high fidelity video audio cutscenes that they do sometimes for some of their games.
Yeah. In which they're known for,
But
you know.
not just known for that, but yes, they do that. They do push systems to their limit. But like I'm thinking like something like Final Fantasy IX, it wasn't littered with all these CG cutscenes.
No.
A lot of the story was told through in-game graphics.
Yeah, yeah.
So I question uh, that specificity in terms of their view.
Yeah.
Um, Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the one thing though that does so the graphics argument, you're right, is pretty limited because it's like what graphics? What graphics are you talking about? Are you just talking about the cutscenes? Are you just talking about the
Yeah.
world, the character? Like there's a lot about graphics, right? But the thing
Yes.
that I do agree with what he said is that if they did make it all one game, you wouldn't be getting the bigger, more comprehensive Midgar that you're going to be getting in this first version of the game. I do agree with that because in order just to do that much bigger expanded Midgar, they're going to have to build the city out, and that does take a lot of resources. So I
Mm.
do buy into that argument. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, that leads me to what we spoke about before in a previous episode, where it's like we're expanding Midgar, but for what purpose?
Yeah.
Is it just to increase like the livability of the world, like saying like, oh, this place is living and breathing, or does it really add to the narrative of Cloud and company versus Shinra and Sephiroth?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's the argument that I was making. It's like how much of it is going to be bloated? Because I could say, from example, Final Fantasy 15, a lot of the side quests in that game were, no offense,
Mm-hmm.
useless. Useless and just very rote.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want that to happen in this game. In Final Fantasy VII, after replaying it, the original Final Fantasy VII, it's actually kind of I don't want to say streamlined, but it's kind of linear from where you're going. Yeah, like it felt like the world was opened up and you could travel to some degree around the world. But in terms of like story, it's pretty clear cut,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going from point A to point B because you're hunting Sephiroth.
Yeah.
You're hunting a person, and you're trying to find out the clues, to gather the clues to this mystery of the game.
Yeah.
And so, in that regard, like aside from like all the side mission stuff, which I thought was fun, maybe some of the side missions were kind of rough, like Golden Saucer, like choco breeding. Like, oh my god, it's so annoying. But still, that was extra stuff.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And the main meat and potatoes of that game is pretty. It's a direct, thorough line,
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
don't want them to lose sight of the overall narrative that is strong, cohesive, and like pretty much direct in the original video game. Like I feel
Yeah.
like might get bogged down by other things that, like I said, could lead to something called bloat. I'm not saying that it's going to.
Yeah.
I just feel like with the present Square Enix as we've been seeing, it could.
Yes. No, I agree with you.
And I want to temper my expectations. Like I'm so hyped for this
Yeah.
game, but I am concerned.
Yes.
So I mean, April 10th is around the corner. We will see.
Yeah.
We'll see, and I want to be proven wrong.
Yeah.
Like I want an episode of where like, hey, where you go to me and you're like, Josie, you were wrong, and I was like, mea culpa.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
So, but for the time being, I have reasonable doubt.
and that is warranted. Me, I'm hopeful because I like the demo so much. So, we'll see what
The
happens.
demo was a snapshot, though.
It was a snapshot. It was a snapshot, but it was like it was a very
It was great.
yeah, it was great, and it was a very simple
Yeah.
mission. You know what I mean? So there's gonna be much more cooler missions in the game for sure. So that's why I'm kind of like excited about it. Uh,
And then I mean, like we get Leviathan. They've already unveiled like certain things, and we get Leviathan in this
yeah.
game, and you don't get Leviathan in the original game until you go to Wutai and you do like Yuffie's
Mhm.
quest. So it's like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah,
I
and
mean, you don't really get summons until after Midgar, to be
yeah,
honest.
and yeah, you're right. You're right. I remember that now. But you know what
Hmm.
they did mention in this article that I just pulled up was that um you know how there was a lot of like doubt around Red 13 because of he wasn't going to be playable, he was only going to be a guest character.
I did hear about this.
So
Yes.
they said in the article that even though he's a guest character and he's not playable because in the original game you didn't get him till later, they made him necessary. So even though he's not playable, you do need something that he has as a guest character to progress through the game. So
So from what I understand, from what I heard, is that they're actually doing like a Red 13 type mission
okay, okay,
that requires Red 13 to be in your party at the very end of the tail end of the
okay,
game of the remake. So yes, there's going to be a sizable portion of that because he's not playable in the actual game.
okay,
And the reason why he's not playable in the actual game is because you get him so late in the
yeah,
game, which makes complete sense. But I do want to know, and I hope we get a better idea of it going forward, how the characters will translate going from this game to the next.
yes,
Like, it's gonna be like Mass Effect, or and by Mass Effect I mean like you only get to know, and Mass Effect was different because it was like story
hmm,
based, so you get to interact with the story and your decisions change things in terms of how you interact with certain characters or within the narrative
yeah,
itself. While this game, like, are our levels going to translate into the next game directly? How does that work?
yeah,
So I'd like to know that.
okay, yeah. That's a fair point too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So next up, I wanted to cover some I don't know what to call this news. I don't know if it's true or we're being trolled, but here we have uh, Konami denies Silent Hills revival rumor. Um, yeah, this is what they said. We're aware of all the rumors and reports, but can confirm that they are not true. I know this is not the answer your fans want to hear, says the Konami US rep. So, I mean, what do you think? Uh, yeah, it does. Yeah, which is it is hilarious. But what do you?
Is that people are excited about this because they're fans of Konami, but Konami's not doing anything with their
They're
properties.
making pachinko machines, bro. Pachinko,
Yeah,
dog.
exactly.
So what do you
It's
think? Do
sad.
you,
It's
do you,
sad
do
to
you
hear.
think we're
It's
being
sad to
trolled,
hear.
or do you think they're being completely honest about this?
So from my own sources, I don't want to name them, and by my own sources, I mean the sources that I see on
Yeah, yeah,
YouTube that talk about sources that they've seen. So it's very trickle
yeah,
down. But from what I hear, they are getting this news. This news didn't come out of anywhere, nowhere.
yeah,
Pardon. It did come from somewhere, and the people that have exposed it say that they have good reason to believe that this is happening. At least they're within talks.
okay,
And if that's the case, then Konami wouldn't show their hand yet.
yes, yeah, okay,
But I mean, the possibility is there that this is just vaporware. This is nothing, you know. So I mean, I got excited. I even said as much. I was like, if Kojima could be working on Silent Hills, then the possibility down the line for a Metal Gear Solid with
yeah,
Kojima back is
yeah,
there. Like I would love. Oh my God, this is a dream. But I would love to see Kojima come back and be like, look, this is the definitive version of Metal Gear Solid 5,
hmm,
the Phantom Pain. And so I was like, this is me completing the game because it wasn't complete to begin with.
yeah, yeah. No, you're right. You're right. And it was you could tell that he was haunted by that because of the Metal Gear elements that made it into Death Stranding.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like,
yeah.
so, but dude, I mean, I hate to say it, but if Konami's not a team player here and they're not going to look out for the fans, hey, Kojima, I'm pretty sure he doesn't watch this show, but just write another story. You know, write another horror story. I would totally be down for a new horror franchise coming from him. You know what I mean? So
Oh, I mean, the possibility is totally
yeah,
there. It could be Silent Hills and everything but name only, kind of like Bloodstained was Castlevania and
yes,
everything but in name only.
yeah,
And Koji Igarashi is such a huge name attached to the Castlevania franchise that when he made Bloodstained, everyone knew that this was Castlevania.
yeah,
It just didn't have the name, it didn't have the characters,
yeah.
unfortunately, and they can't use them.
No.
But the new world that he created, super excited. I love Bloodstained. I want to see more.
Yeah, and you know, I was just reading a an article about Mother,
Mm.
and how you know, I can't remember what was the company behind Mother. Do you remember?
Oh, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
I
don't.
just know it's a JRPG, right?
Yeah, and there's like a new version of the game coming out that's a fan made version, and it's
Okay.
called Oddity, and
Mm.
but it kind of extrapolates on what Mother 4 would be, but like, you know, a lot of companies, they have these like sacred you know, stories, and they're holding them up for business reasons.
Of course.
And I mean, it people are creative, and you're exactly right. What was done with Bloodstained Ritual was the right call, and I hope to see that more going down the road with titles that are being held hostage in a way. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
yeah, I would like to see Kojima do something like that with Silent Hills if Konami is not willing to part with that storyline.
The
Yeah,
franchises.
yeah,
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's their bread and butter. So I mean, I kind of do wish that they would do something akin to how they treated Silent Hill previously, which is they just kind of had, they outsourced it to other developers, and they did the same thing with Castlevania. Lords of Shadow was outsourced to Mercury
yeah,
Steam, and freaking Silent Hills was outsourced to, I forget the names of the developers, but Silent Hill Downpour and Shattered
yeah,
Memories, those were all not done by Team Silent. Team Silent stopped making Silent Hill games from Silent Hill 4
yeah,
on.
yeah,
So at Silent Hill 4. So I mean, like if they could outsource it to another company, that would be
yeah,
cool. I, give us that
yeah. Give
much.
us that much,
We'll,
please. Give us that much.
we'll we will see.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on, I wanted to cover something interesting that I saw, that a friend of mine posted in like our chat room and whatnot, and it
Mm.
was because, okay, so first of all, I'm doing a review on Doom Eternal, and that will be dropping in the next day or so. So everyone, stay tuned for that. Um, so check this out. This is a huge blunder on Bethesda's part. When they released the game, they accidentally released all the source files with no DRM on them. And, and when Doom Eternal first came out, I remember typing in Google something like Doom Eternal download, whatever, and I saw a site, like a questionable site that said, "Oh, you can download Doom Eternal here." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And now and now I see why. They basically gave away the game for free. So it's now being hacked and propagated all over the web. And yeah, yeah. And they it's a blunder on their part, but I just want to say, like, if you're like me and you're a fan of the franchise, you know, buy the game, support the game. You know, don't, if you have money, support the game. Don't get the hacked version because, man, it is a wild roller coaster ride of a game, and it's like from beginning to end, I was like this on my computer, like I was just so like, oh my god. So yeah, I fully recommend that game to people, and I'm gonna be putting out a review on that shortly. So
They had a good sale on Doom games, Doom 1, 2, and 3.
yeah,
And then Doom 64 just came out
it
recently.
came out if you
So,
it came out, but you got it free.
with the game.
Yeah, if you pre-ordered Doom Eternal.
Mhm.
So I actually started playing Doom 64. So
And how's that?
well,
Does it still hold up? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
unfortunately, it does not hold up, but it's still fun. It's still fun, believe it or not. It's so
I mean, it's like the original
yeah,
Doom.
and but Doom Eternal, oh my God, they took that game and they evolved it like to a whole new game, and it's pretty great. So next up, this is kind of where we get into the depressing part of the show. GameStop. uh, so first off, I want to cover this. So GameStop, I know you heard about this. A lot of people heard about this when you know uh, Cove SARS 2, which is the official name of the virus. COVID-19 is actually the name of the disease that you get from the virus. So when Cove SARS 2, the coronavirus, started spreading, GameStop said that it wasn't going to close its stores and that they were exactly. And people were like, get out of here. You know what I mean? And uh, so people obviously were rightly upset about that. And they were forced to close their stores, and then they started doing kind of like takeout, right? So you could order pickup, and then they would deliver the games to you when you drove by, which is fine, and they should have done that from the beginning. They should have not. I mean, it just reeks of desperation, and it reeks of irresponsibility. You know what I mean? And now you sent me a video today. I didn't have time to pull up the article, but can you explain what's happening now with GameStop?
So in the previous year, they've shuttered about 300 plus stores, GameStop stores
Yeah,
permanently, and the I guess the current CEO of GameStop has also stated as much that this is going to happen within 2020 as well. That close to 300 stores will be shuttered
yeah,
permanently. And yeah, no, I agree with you in terms of the irresponsibility, but the desperation it's coming from a place that they're already
yeah.
desperate
And this has just
as it
tipped them
is.
over the edge. Yeah,
Exactly. If anything, I'm concerned that a lot of businesses won't be able to handle the current situation that is going on with SARS two,
yeah,
COVID SARS two, and this will change the face of business for at least within the states
yeah,
um,
yeah. It's
for a bit.
and you know, I take no pleasure in seeing this happen to anybody, anyone. This is horrible. And
Yes.
I hope that non-essential people who are out on the front lines, I mean, I salute all of you because you're just like you're basically like out there exposed. You know what I mean? And I hope that those people come through this, healthy and sane, and that everyone who can't do anything about it, your best action is just don't be a spreader. That's it. That's all you got to do. Don't spread it to people. So follow the social distancing, and then as this thing tapers off, we can get back to normal. But one trend I am seeing is like if you're like a local game shop, um, do shipping like our favorite local game shop does. They'll ship the games to you. You know what I mean? You can still order online. They'll ship them to you. And then if people want to pick up, don't let them come in the store. Just do kind of like a drop, like a takeout type scenario. And so there's ways around this. And I hope that as people are adapting, that we can all work together to make this thing, as less painful as possible, with the least amount of damage to society. Um, so yeah, I'm not gonna really bash uh, GameStop too hard. Uh, this is a virus. I mean, there's really nothing you can do. You just have to be smart about it. Um, so next up, I want to highlight something smart that somebody did in the wake of the coronavirus. So this was something that I saw pop up on my radar. So you know how games like Pokemon Go and all that are all the rage among kids, and I have to admit, when Pokemon Go was out, I put in over 100 kilometers, I think, playing the game, and I did that in the first month, and I lost like 5 pounds, and I had a tan, and I was really good looking at that time. but so something smart that I want to highlight. Have you heard of Minecraft Earth? It's okay. So it's okay. So Minecraft Earth is like a mobile version of the game where you can actually go out and explore and find building materials out in the real world, right? So it's like a augmented reality. So what they did was they came up with an update that allows people to play it at home. You don't have to go out to explore and risk getting sick. So I just wanted to highlight that and say that like that's what I want. That's what people should be doing. You know what I mean? Like finding ways to basically just make people safer. Yeah, yeah. And so like when it comes to stuff like that, this is what I like to see game developers do. You know what I mean? Um, so uh, yeah, I just wanted to point that out because I think it's good to point out some good things as well.
Of course.
Next up, I wanted to kind of talk about something else that was interesting. And this, I don't know if you heard about this. I'm going to briefly cover this. But AMD had some of their source code leaked, and it was a hacker. And the hacker claims they're a woman hacker, and they found a laptop that was not encrypted, and it had all of AMD's new source code technology, including the source code for the Xbox Series X. And so they put it on GitHub for anyone to download. And of course, who owns GitHub now? Microsoft. So they shut it down. Which look, say what you want to say about big companies and whatnot, but it is their
I mean, it's their
property.
IP.
It's their property.
Yeah.
So you can't just. Anyways, now that hacker is saying that they're gonna sell it to the highest bidder on the dark web. So AMD says, "Hey, go."
Here's the weird thing that you said hacker, but this is a thief.
This is a thief. Yeah.
this isn't even a hacker though.
It's not a hacker because they got a hacker. More of a hacker would mean so they're an opportunistic hacker, right? They're like a
pretty much.
Yeah, they're a thief. But like a hacker
Yeah.
would be somebody who broke into their encrypted servers,
Like database, yeah, exactly.
database, and pulled it out. Anyways, this is an
like,
opportunist.
this person
Yeah.
this person got lucky.
They got lucky. But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to point that out. I thought it was pretty interesting. Now some people were posting like hacker holds source code hostage. No, they got some source code on a laptop and they're trying to sell it. So next up, before we end this episode, I wanted to go over the upcoming titles like we've started doing on all our episodes now. So this coming week we got Persona 5 Royale and Resident Evil 3. Oh yeah, I say Royale because like the Royale with cheese. So are you gonna get a Persona 5 Royal, or are you're gonna get both of them? Uh-huh.
With a new character to play as. I actually never played the original Persona 5. I played Persona 4 Golden, and that's where my Persona knowledge ends, unfortunately. Oh no, I played Arena as well.
Okay.
But I am excited for Persona 5. I actually purchased the original Persona 5, also the collector's edition, the Take Your Heart Out edition or something, the Take Your Heart edition. And I just never got to it.
Okay.
It's one of those games, it's one of those JRPGs that's just really lengthy.
Yeah.
And it came at a time that I never got to it, and then I heard about Persona 5 Royal, and I was like, okay, I'll just wait until that comes out, and I'll play that version. So I'm excited to play that version, and then, especially with the current situation, I have the time to do so. And Resident Evil 3 is a must-have. It's a must-have, in my opinion.
It's a must-have.
In my opinion, that's definitely. I'm super excited for Resident Evil 3. I played Resident Evil 2 remake to death, and Resident Evil 1, the remake of that. I love those. I played those recently, like a lot, in anticipation. For Resident Evil 3, and super excited. Have you played Resident Evil 2 remake yet?
Yes, I didn't beat it though. I'm stupid. I know. And I know
you're not stupid.
I know you played it and beat it in vet mode, which is Props to you. Props to Josie. Everyone, he beat it with invisible enemies. By the way,
well, that's Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil 2 remake doesn't have that.
Okay. Well, by the way, if you do do it again, please record it, because I'm sure people would love to see the gameplay.
It's horrific, especially if you're like, oh, what hit me?
But I do want to remind everyone, I did put out a retro review on the original Resident Evil 3. You can find it
on the Dreamcast.
For the Dreamcast. You can find it on the. If you're unfamiliar with the game, you want to see what it's about. We have it on the official gamesibeat channel. So in closing, Josie, did you want to say anything about anything?
Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep gaming.
Perfect. And on that, we'll see you all next week.
Take care.
Take care.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching this episode of Games I Speak. What did you think about the excuse for splitting up Final Fantasy VII into multiple parts? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you all next time.